Stack it up, don't fumble. You just gotta stay humble. You ain't flip it till you make it double. Baby girl, I ain't got time to cuddle. I ain't lying to you, I just had none. They ain't give it, had to take some. I can tell you ain't all of a sudden. What the fuck, thought we came much struggle. But I know I gotta stand for some. I cannot settle for none. If you with me, then I love you. If you ain't, then it's fuck. I can't go out like a buster. Come from a family full of hustlers. I can't go out like a buster.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Familyfullofhustlers podcast. It is your host, E, and I'm going to be real with y'all. This episode, I don't really have a theme. I don't really know what the hell we'll come over here talking about. I just really wanted to put out a message to just say that sometimes you just got to do shit ugly, bro. You know? And today is one of those days for me, right? Because right now, I really don't feel like recording. I woke up. I'm like, damn, I don't really have a pod that I want to post today. You know, it just don't feel like the right day to post some of those other pods that I've already recorded. And I'm like, but I gotta put out something because I said that I would. And I think that's sometimes how shit has to be. You know, sometimes you can't just be doing stuff based off of other outside or external things. You have to do stuff because you told yourself that you would. And that's where the difference between somebody who's gonna win and who all the others. You know, I think that sometimes we just do shit because I said I was gonna do it. You know, I don't have another motivating factor. I'm not getting paid for these podcasts. It's not at the point where I'm getting thousands and thousands of listeners just yet. I'm just simply putting out message after message after message because I said that I would. And last week we talked a lot about healing and just the process of like going through the motions of healing ourselves before we jump into entrepreneurship, and then, you know, being prepared for what's next and all that. This is the next phase for a lot of you, hopefully, is where you don't really care that much. You're just showing up. And I'm a type of person, sometimes I can be a bit of a perfectionist where like I'm thinking about every last thing before I do anything. Sometimes I can be that way, you know, but I noticed that and this is just me speaking on me, you know. I noticed that when I've been like a sort of a perfectionist, that was rooted in some type of fear or hesitation, because the natural self, me, the core of me was the type of person when if I had an idea on Tuesday, I was doing something with it by Wednesday, Thursday. That was the type of person I was growing up, you know, and that's why I've had so many different lives. I've, you know, tested different businesses. I've gone and moved to so many different places so far. It's because if I have an idea on one day, all right, I'm set on it. I'm not going to dwell on it, and I just get the ball rolling, right? But I noticed that like as I've gone through certain things, I've taken certain losses. I have had a couple of things that just didn't go my way, that I tend to like, let me take a pause and let me cross all my T's and dot all my I's. And then sometimes I end up just not even making a decision as to whether I'm going to do something or not. You know, I just kind of just put it to the side and don't really go back to it, right? And I'm at the point now where I have a really strong understanding that no risk is risky, right? If I'm sitting back and I'm doing things to avoid risk, I'm not gonna grow in any way at all. I'm gonna stay exactly the same. I'm just gonna become a master of avoidance because I'm trying to avoid conflict or avoid a certain result or avoid whatever. And that's not what's gonna get me to that next level, to that next part of my life, right? So I'm literally putting out this in real time just to say, man, just show up. Like after you've gone through your period, of healing, of understanding yourself and what you value, from that point on, just show up every day the best way you can. And like I always tell people, your best looks different every day. Some days may be heavier than others. Some days may be better than others. But if you show up the best way you can every day, then you give yourself so many shots at greatness. And that's just how I feel about it. I think perfection is just like procrastination, dressed up. You know what I'm saying? I think that like the mentality of like, well, I'm kind of just preparing. I'm preparing. It's like, bruh, it that can easily be like an excuse. That is like really fear pretending to be like a strategy, and I'm just kind of past that shit, like right now this podcast is not pretty. I don't pre-script none of this stuff like that. I don't sit and write out everything. I don't have a fancy setup. I don't feel like doing all that. I don't got the fucking ring lights. I'm not about to have a bunch of guests on here right now to travel and do all of that. I don't feel like doing all that right now. I don't feel like having a bunch of people on here that I don't really know like that, and y'all probably don't even give a fuck about for real. Y'all might just want to hear from me. I don't know, right? Eventually I'll add on some guests and all that, but right now I'm like, fuck all that. Just put up as much value as you can. Put up as much pod or content as I possibly can. And that's just where I'm at with it. I'm not overthinking it. I'm just dropping them left and right, and this is like the ugly era of doing something, and don't get me wrong. If you've been following me or you look on my YouTube or whatever, you'll see we had the fancy setup before. I had a fancy setup before. I was traveling to meet people. I was doing those things. I've had some great guests in the past, but right now it's just, man, I just want to show up every day, and that's just what I'm on. So expect me to drop multiple times a week, and I know that's extremely odd for most for people in this niche right here. Most of the time, people drop like every week or every 2 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, forget all that. I'm just gonna press record and talk, and I think that because of that, I've gotten more clarity on my message and where I want to take what I'm doing. I don't think I would have figured out or gotten as much clarity if I didn't start just doing it. I don't think I would have got as much clarity as where I want to take the brand again, this pod again, and everything else. I think that when you're not worried about being perfect, your real voice shows up, and that's the message here, So for all of you who are listening, sometimes you just gotta do shit ugly, and that's what people I feel fall in love with across the board when we look at some of our favorite people in the world. You think about people that you might admire from a distance, whether that's like an artist or a mogul or even somebody who's local to you or whatever, right? They just seem to just like to not be polished all the time, Nobody's perfect. They just show up as they are, and I think that for everybody, I truly believe that whatever we are pursuing, whatever we're doing, if you just show up every single day, your best self, the best way you can each day. You don't have to be perfect, because you being imperfect is perfect. Like, genuinely. We're all different. We all have different character traits and, things about ourselves that people might love, things about ourselves that people might hate, different quirks, different, everything, right? And that's the beauty of existence. So, and I can honestly say, like, in my life, I have done a lot of stuff where I just jumped off. Like I said, I just started launching stuff, not too much thought, and has it bit me in the ass at times? Absolutely. It has definitely bit me in the ass a couple times when I just jumped out of here and I just started doing stuff. But here's the thing though. When I've carefully thought out things and went through A to Z, crossed all T's, dotted all I's, or I felt like it, I put it together. I go out here and I launch. Still, something ended up happening. It's not like it was just smooth sailing. It's not like I didn't hit certain walls, and both of them, I still have to force myself to adapt. I still have to force myself to adjust. And so either way, I'm doing the same exact thing, like, for those of you who follow me, I've been really passionate about this new project that I'm working on, known as the Land OS system, in which I'll do, some episodes about later on. But I've been really focused on completing this project. I'm really passionate about it, because it's gonna help other people do what I love to do, and that to me is the ultimate. So I'm like, I've taken so much time preparing, and really putting things together properly. But on the flip side, though, this is what I find interesting about where I am right now in life, is that I still was just a lot of it I just did, and just like, all right, we putting it together, let's get it. It wasn't a lot of thought. I wasn't sitting around like, damn, am I qualified to build a platform like this? I wasn't sitting around thinking like, oh man, am I ready to do something like this? I was just like, I came with the idea, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then from that point on, I've been building it. I've been working on it. It wasn't me. It wasn't no thought. It was just, all right, this is something I really want to do. I want to, step my game up. I really want to set the bar high. So it ain't that many people who I know who is building something like this, not at this level. And all right, fuck it, let's get it, And sometimes you have to be that way. And sometimes life might throw you a curveball where you have to adjust, or it might knock you on your ass. But either way, whatever comes after that is going to be either a lesson for the future that you can apply, or it's going to be a win. That's really the only two outcomes when you just show up every day and you do shit ugly. Either you're going to win, or you're going to learn a lesson throughout it. And that in itself is that's going to be your biggest mentor, is your experiences, right? That's where you're going to pull from the most. My lady, she always says that she learns the most from her own journals, and from people who from the outside looking in, they might think that that's like very like egotistical, you know. But in reality, we learn more by doing than we do from hearing, than we do from seeing, than we do from than any other learning type. You're gonna learn more by actually doing, and it's like what better way to learn from what you're doing than to go back and analyze and read what you have gone through, or what you're going through, or dissecting your brain, right? So sometimes you're gonna learn more from your own self than you are from other sources, you know. Like, even with the content that I'm putting out, or I know I'm pretty sure you guys may consume other content, of course, right? You might have a mentor, you might have whatever. Those are supposed to be like seeds, you know, that are planted. And you take the seeds and you create something else that's beautiful, and you'll realize, yes, you learn from multiple different, you know, places and multiple different things, but the core from where you're learning from is gonna be your own path and how you mold it into what you want it to be. And that's the benefit of just showing up, bro. So that was pretty much all I had to say. It's not a long episode. It was actually longer than I thought it was going to be. But I'm going to go ahead and upload this. And I hope you find value in this. And until next time, E.